History remembers the names they wanted us to know. But what about the ones who built the same world we live in and were quietly written out of it? The traffic lights on your street, the GPS guiding you home, the voice in your phone, all carried the fingerprints of people who were never meant to be remembered. Today, we bring them back. This is how history tried to delete those 10 black pioneers. Before Edison became a household name, there was Lewis Latimer. Born to formerly enslaved parents, Lewis was the mind behind the carbon filament, the reason the light bulb could shine longer than a few minutes. Without him, Edison's invention would have stayed in the dark. He also drafted the first technical drawings for Alexander Graham Bell's telephone patent. His hands literally helped wire the modern world, yet few people have ever heard his name. Think about that the next time you switch on a light. And speaking of lights, in the fight for civil rights, there was another spark that lit the way. Most people know Rosa Parks, but before her, there was 15-year-old Claudette Colvin. In 1955, months before Rosa refused to give up her seat on a bus, Claudette already had. A teenager in a segregated school, inspired by Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth, stood her ground and said no. Police dragged her off the bus and threw her in jail. The NAACP later chose Rosa as the face of the movement because she was older, lighter skinned, and already respected. Claudette's bravery was buried under politics and image. But that moment, that single act of teenage defiance, sparked the legal case that ended bus segregation. Without her, the story might have never started. How many times has a quiet act of courage gone unseen? Even today, and long before courage became protest, it was survival and science. Long before vaccines were modern medicine, an enslaved man named Onesimus brought the idea of inoculation from Africa to America. In the early 1700s, he told his owner, a Boston minister, about a centuries-old African method to protect people from smallpox, taking a small drop of the virus and introducing it safely into the skin. Doctors called it dangerous, heresy even. But when Boston faced an outbreak, the few who listened to Onesimus and tried his method survived. Those who ignored him died. Centuries later, his discovery would evolve into the foundation of vaccination. Every time you roll up your sleeve for a shot, remember, the idea came from a man whose name was almost lost at time. How many innovations we call modern science were actually born in places history refused to look? And sometimes, what gets stolen isn't just ideas, it's identity itself. If you grew up watching cartoons, you probably know Betty Boop. The big eyes, the curls, the baby voice. But few know she was inspired by a black jazz singer from Harlem named Esther Jones, known as Baby Esther. She performed at the Cotton Club in the 1920s, using her playful boop-oop-a-doop scatting style. A white singer copied her, built a career on it, and later sued the cartoon studio for stealing her act. When footage of Baby Esther surfaced, the truth came out. She was the real origin. Still, Betty Boop became a global icon, while Baby Esther faded into obscurity. Her rhythm lives on in animation, but her name was erased from the credits of culture itself. It makes you wonder, how much of pop culture was borrowed and from who? And speaking of technology that defines pop culture, let's talk about the map in your hand right now. Ever used GPS? Then you owe thanks to Dr. Gladys West, a black mathematician whose equations mapped the Earth. In the 1950s, long before satellites and smartphones, she worked on complex calculations for the US Navy. Equations that became the backbone of GPS technology. Without her, navigation as we know it wouldn't exist. No Uber, no Google Maps, no arrive in 12 minutes. Her work stayed classified for decades. When her story finally resurfaced, she simply said, "I was just doing my job." A quiet statement from a woman who reshaped how the entire world moves. But some pioneers didn't just map the earth, they conquered the skies. Now picture the first airplane, open cockpit, no roof, no seatbelts, and a woman named Bessie Coleman, determined to fly. Denied entry to every flight school in the US because of her race and gender, she learned French, moved to Paris, and earned her pilot's license in 1921. The first black woman in the world to do so. She performed in air shows, doing stunts that left crowds breathless, refusing to fly anywhere segregation was enforced. When she died in a crash at 34, people mourned a daredevil. But she was something more. Proof that courage doesn't wait for permission. And on the ground, another mind was changing the way we live, in ways you can taste every single day. Ever bought fresh food in summer? Then you've already benefited from Frederick McKinley Jones. He invented the first automatic refrigeration system for trucks and trains, changing food transport forever and saving millions of lives during World War II. Before his design, food spoiled fast, medicine couldn't travel far, and summer meant scarcity. His technology made global supply chains possible, but his name never made the headlines. He built the system that keeps the world fed, and the world forgot him. And while he kept food moving, another pioneer made sure the digital world could move too. Each time you open a laptop, tap a smartphone, or connect to Wi-Fi, you're using ideas born from Mark Dean, an engineer at IBM who helped design the first personal computer. He created the technology that let multiple devices connect to one system, the blueprint of modern computing. He even co-developed the first gigahertz chip. Without Mark Dean, the digital world would look very different. Yet most people think IBM and picture anyone but him. But innovation wasn't the only battlefield. Some pioneers changed not machines, but myths. The Wild West had its legends, but one of them was real. Bass Reeves, born into slavery, escaped during the Civil War and became one of the first black US Marshals. He arrested over 3,000 outlaws, spoke several Native American languages, and was known for disguises and precise marksmanship. His bravery inspired the story of the Lone Ranger, the mask, the horse, even the code of honor. Hollywood gave the role to someone else, but the real hero wore a badge, not a costume. And finally, one story that proves love itself can be revolutionary. In 1958, Mildred Jeter, a black woman, and Richard Loving, a white man, were arrested in Virginia for being married. Their crime? Loving each other. They were sentenced to jail or forced exile. They chose to fight. Their case, Loving versus Virginia, reached the Supreme Court and ended interracial marriage bans across the US. Their last name became their message. Love itself became legal. Every wedding photo of a mixed-race couple today carries a trace of their courage. Look at these stories. Brilliance ignored, credit misplaced, lives deleted to fit a safer history. Everything we use, the light above us, the maps we follow, the freedom we claim, exists because of them. They built the world. History erased their names, ignored, rewritten, deleted, but their work still runs the world. So tell me, which name will you remember?